You ever think about how a single delay can change the course of history? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy how small things can have huge impacts.
Yeah. Are you talking about something specific?
Yeah, actually, the Battle of Fredericksburg during the Civil War, it's been
Oh,
on my mind
interesting.
lately. The Union had such grand plans, but a delay with pontoon bridges, of all things, turned it all upside down.
Wait, so the whole operation got messed up because of bridge problems?
Exactly. Burnside wanted to cross the Rappahannock River quickly, take Fredericksburg, and march straight to
Right.
Richmond. But those pontoon bridges arrived late, and that gave Lee plenty of time to dig in.
That's wild. So, Lee just got to set up shop on the high ground.
Yeah, he fortified Mary's Heights. By the time the Union was ready to cross, the Confederates were like, "Come at us." It was a defensive dream scenario for them.
Man, talk about bad timing. So what happened when they tried to cross?
Oh, it was a mess. On December 11th, Union engineers started laying those pontoon bridges under heavy fire.
Yikes.
Confederate sharpshooters were picking them off from the buildings along the river. It was brutal.
That's intense. How did they deal with that?
Well, Burnside got so frustrated that he ordered an artillery bombardment of the city.
Seriously?
Yeah, they basically leveled Fredericksburg just to root out those snipers.
Wow, can you imagine being a civilian there?
It's horrifying. The city's residents must have been terrified.
Yeah.
By nightfall, the Union troops finally crossed and occupied the city, but the real fight was still ahead.
So then came the main assault?
Yep, on December 13th, Burnside launched attacks on both flanks.
Mhm.
He targeted Stonewall Jackson on the right and Mary's Heights on the left.
And how did that go?
Well, the attack against Jackson was chaotic. The terrain was swampy and wooded, making it a nightmare.
Right.
They couldn't break through.
And what about Mary's Heights? I've heard that was particularly bad.
Oh man, it was a complete disaster. Union troops were ordered to charge uphill over open ground toward a fortified position. It was like sending
Ouch.
them into a meat grinder.
That's insane. Why would Burnside persist with that plan?
He believed sheer numbers could overwhelm the Confederates.
Seriously?
Despite the mounting casualties, he kept ordering more assaults.
That's just tragic.
Absolutely. The Confederates were behind stone walls with artillery support. They just mowed
Yeah.
down wave after wave of Union soldiers.
I can't imagine the scene. The bravery mixed with the futility.
It's heartbreaking. By the end of the day, over 12,600 Union soldiers were killed, wounded, or missing, compared to
That's
about
staggering.
5,300 Confederate casualties.
So, a lopsided loss for the Union?
Exactly. It was one of the most one-sided battles of the
Mhm.
war. It crushed Union morale and exposed serious flaws in their leadership.
Did Burnside face any consequences for this?
Oh yeah, he was removed from command afterward.
Makes
The defeat
sense.
highlighted his poor tactical decisions.
You know, it's interesting how a simple delay with bridges led to all this.
I know, right? It's like, if those pontoons had arrived on time, history might have been different.
Exactly.
The Union might have taken Fredericksburg before Lee could react.
But on the flip side, the Confederates got a morale boost, didn't they?
They did. It bolstered their confidence in Lee's leadership. But strategically, it didn't change much in the long run.
That's true. The war still dragged on for years after that.
Exactly. The victory was significant but not decisive in ending the war. It
Right.
did, however, deepen the Union's resolve to find better leadership and strategies.
It's a somber reminder of the cost of war.
Definitely. Today, the Fredericksburg battlefield serves as a memorial. Walking those hills really makes you reflect on the sacrifices made.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I visited a few years ago. Standing on Mary's Heights, you can almost feel the history. It's
Wow.
eerily quiet, but the weight of what happened there is palpable.
I'd like to go someday. It's important to remember these events.
Absolutely. They teach us so much about leadership, strategy, and the human cost of conflict. It's lessons like these that we need to keep alive.
Speaking of lessons, do you think Burnside's failure influenced future Union strategies?
I think so. It forced the Union to reassess their leadership.
Right.
Eventually, this led to the appointment of commanders like Ulysses S. Grant, who had a different approach.
Yeah, Grant was more aggressive, wasn't he?
Exactly. He understood total war and wasn't afraid to engage directly. His strategies ultimately wore down the Confederacy.
It's fascinating how leadership styles can change the tide of war.
It really is. And Fredericksburg is a prime example of what happens when leadership falters. Lives are lost and opportunities are missed.
You know, some might argue that Burnside was set up to fail. What do you think?
Well, he was under immense pressure from Lincoln to deliver a victory.
True.
But at the same time, he made critical errors that can't be overlooked.
That's fair. It's a complex situation.
Definitely. War rarely offers clear-cut answers.
Right.
That's why studying these battles is so important.
Agreed. It helps us understand the nuances and avoid oversimplifications.
Exactly. So next time we think a small delay is just a minor inconvenience, maybe we'll remember Fredericksburg.
No kidding. It's a powerful lesson in how every piece matters.
Indeed, history has a way of showing us that, and it's up to us to pay attention.
Well said. Thanks for sharing all this. It's been enlightening.
My pleasure. Always happy to dive into history with you.
Likewise.